everyone, and welcome to the Indie Creative Comics Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Angel, with John Pepper.
How's it going, Angel?
Woo! It has been a hot minute. Well, it's actually been the whole summer.
We're back, baby.
We are back.
Just like my hairline, it's going back.
Yeah, just as the summer. Dude, this summer was crazy.
We got a new pope. Dude, I was thinking about this yesterday. I was like, we had a new pope since we've been off the air.
We did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I watched a couple of times where they were just waiting for the smoke to come up from the chimney. But yeah, I lost interest really quickly in that. And Pope speaks really good English, I heard.
Yes, he's from Chicago.
Yes, so it's all good.
Pope.
Yeah, all right, guys, we're back. This is episode 153. We did end up taking the summer off just because I think we needed to take the summer off. There were still some great books over the summer. There was still some great stuff going on, news going on. So we're going to play a little bit of a catch-up this week, and then we'll be on our regular schedule once a week with our news, our reviews of everything that's independent comics. Now, obviously, there's some changes that you're automatically going to notice right off the bat. We're going to talk about those in a few, but yeah, I think we were missing this. Like I was itching,
absolutely.
I think like right around Labor Day or right a couple of weeks before Labor Day, I was like, God damn, we got to get back on the air again. Like
and it
really
was like,
soon.
And then stuff kind of happened on the days. Like one day you'd have something going on and I'd have something going on. Like it was just so hard to get it going. But I think we're back. We're refreshed. Hulk is ready. Hulk is happy to be back. He's making his first appearance on the show.
Yeah, don't make him angry.
Literally, that's his bag.
Yes. All right, gang. So if you are brand new to the podcast, just a really quick, just low down on what we do. John and I get together every week, and we just we pick books off the shelf that are either small press, independent, creator owned books, so that we can just read them and then give our 2 cents on them, but also help to promote sort of like that community, because there's 1,000 podcasts on mainstream media, the big two, and we try to highlight the peeps that are that are small press. I'm one half of Indie Creative Comics, so my partner Justin. We own our own small press company as well, where we release certain books that we have, like Project Shadowbreed, that I'm really excited. This whole relaunch is just going to be awesome, and we'll talk to that some more as well. And a couple of other books that we have under, and we have a new website that's launching. We have crowdfunding that's going to be coming soon, so we're really excited about that. So we talk from not only just fans, but we also talk from the business aspect of it, especially if you are an indie creator that's looking to break into the market. Probably one of the best, eras that you can do it in. So we try to address it from that and look at it from that point of view. And then we have John, who's our in-house historian on everything all the way back to the early 30s. It fucking drives me insane, but it's awesome to have sort of like that library in his head comes out every now and then, which is cool. So we kind of meld these worlds together so that we can give you something a little bit different that's not just, regurgitated stuff that's from main pop media. Because there's some great stuff out there. I'm still going to the movies. I loved Superman. It was so good. I can't wait. And it's crazy because he just announced the next one coming out in 2027, which is just 2 years from the release of the one that we just got, which is James Gunn is pushing for this universe to.
But not Superman 2. The key thing is it's the Man of Tomorrow, and the images that have the illustrations that have shown up, Luthor in the power suit. I think that someone speculated. I was listening to someone today who speculated it might be a team up movie, a Luthor Superman team up movie, which would be interesting. And of course they'll throw down at the end. Or I'm thinking it just might be a Luthor focused movie. I think that he had such a good time with Nicholas Hoult that this might be like
did a good job.
Yeah, I think this might be a Luthor heavy movie, though. I think that's what the Man of Tomorrow means.
Yeah, we'll see. I just like that he's trying to do something a little bit different than this continuity thing. There are individual movies that you can watch standalone, but they still cross-link as well.
And I like that there's the accessible, family-friendly Superman stuff, and then there's the whacked-out trauma world James Gunn, Creature Commandos and Peacemaker.
And
I like that
and all that stuff.
There's the adult playground too.
Yeah, so it'll be good. So yeah, we won't talk that much about it, but yeah, whenever it pops up. Again, we try to highlight everything that's sort of like in the background where most people miss it. So we try to bring it to light. So with that being said, we're going to get into our first segment. The news. Yes. You like that?
Love it.
All right. So, we just have a couple of things that we want to talk about before we get into our reviews for this week. Let's start with the obvious, which is if you have been watching this podcast for the longest, the name change. So we got together and as much as I love the name Amazing Action Comics and the Amazing Action Comics podcast, it sort of kind of lended to something that was, I don't know, just oblivious or an amalgamous of pretty much just nothing. It seems sort of like just centric to just superhero stuff or action-based stuff when it was more than that. And we wanted to do something, and we've since the beginning of doing this, building website, building sort of a small press company. We wanted to encompass sort of what it is that we do and what we wanted to celebrate, and that's the independent creator. So it just made sense to just kind of name it after the market that we're coming from and who we want to serve, which is anybody who is interested in sort of this medium, but at the same time who's looking to get into the medium, which is the indie creator. So to celebrate that, it ended up becoming the Indie Creator Comics.com site. It's also the name of our small press company. And then the leap from there would just be the podcast extension of it, which is the Indie Comics or the Indie Creator Comics podcast. Really excited about the change because I think it really pinpoints who we are. So if you say, okay, if you say Indie Creator Comics, it's all in there. Who we are, who we represent, and what it is that we want to do. I think the only difficult part, honestly, because I think when it came to Amazing Action Comics, our tagline was, oh my God, it's been so long that I can't even remember it. Oh, something amazing. All the time, and everything was just based around that playfulness of, everything that we do is amazing. Our fans are amazing, all that stuff, which was just really great. It lended to that, which was fantastic. And I think Indie Creator Comics doesn't roll off the tongue as well as Amazing Action Comics. So trying to find sort of like our tag of what we represent was a challenge. So when I went to it, I don't even have it on here, do I? I'm such a doofus. But basically, if you go to our website, it'll say Indie, small, and then made, big and bold, period. And then it'll say creators, small, owned, big and bold, period. So it's really indie owned, indie made, and creator owned is sort of like the tagline for that. Because I think it's really important that, especially in this day and age, creators, they need to own their shit, especially with like all the potential that's out there for books to become more than what they are, whether it's going to be, the next big Netflix thing or the next big pop thing. And it's funny because it's sort of like a parent who is raising the child so well that their job is to raise them so well that it's to leave them, which is sad and ironic all at the same point, because you love your child so much, but you want them to be independent. So you're raising someone that you love so much to leave you. I thought about it the other day, and I was like in tears because my daughter's going to turn 18. I was like fucked all over the place. But
maybe birds got to leave the nest.
Yeah. But if you think about it, it's the same thing. Like from these, like say a small underground, story comic that just hits. I mean, look at, if we go back to Turtles, how that was just so underground and nobody knew anything about it, and all of a sudden you can't go anywhere. You can go anywhere and say, hey, do you guys know who the Mutant Turtles are? And most people will know from the show, the cartoon, the movies, whatever it is. So in this sense, the more that we talk about these independent creators and independent comics, then the closer they become to becoming more mainstream. So I relate it to that same way as well. So if it does become mainstream, then we talk about it less, because that's not what we're about. We're really about those guys that, aren't being talked about, that are sort of like underground, who want to be brought to light. So I equate that to raising a kid and loving them so much that you're raising them to be independent. go pop forever.
You make a good point there, though, about the Ninja Turtles and what is known versus what is not known. And I think where we try to key our attention, yes, you guys, so anybody, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, everyone knows, right? But do you know that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were created by two guys that worked at a comic shop that wanted to self-publish an indie comic based on a sketch on a napkin that they drew at the diner? And I think that's the diff. I think that's where we're at, is that you're a creator. You love the process. We love interviewing people about their process. We love, knowing the people behind these comics that we do review, especially on that independent level where you're not playing with the big two and you're just doing your own thing.
Yeah. And there's so many creators out there that they need a platform to just come on to and talk about their process, talk about what it is that they're promoting, what story ideas they need to get out of their head and put out to the world. And I'm really glad to be able to share this platform and then have it with you as well, to be able to bring it to as many people as we can. So that's where we stand in the name change. And we're really looking forward to our future. I mean, we're not under any delusions that we're going to be billionaires off of this, but I think this is really more about our passion for the medium and making sure that it doesn't go anywhere for at least the generation that I'm here for, my daughter's generation, and maybe the generation after that. Because with technology taking over more and more and more, this generation of readers it's getting less and less, which is scary. Or it's changing too. I mean, webtoons is still huge. Manga is still a huge thing amongst the younger crowd. But I think the American comics, the medium that we play with, if it can stay around a little bit longer, I think for as long as we remain human, storytelling is always going to be around. The form in which it takes may change. And, picking up my comics this week and just flipping through the pages, I just love that feel. But that's a nostalgic feel from our childhood, and we get it. So I think this generation that doesn't have that doesn't have that texture feel of what it feels like to read a comic, I think there needs to be something big that happens that brings the younger generation in to this world and hopefully discover other stuff that that we fell in love with as well. So we'll see how that goes.
You made a great point there too. Comics aren't going anywhere. Artistic expression isn't going anywhere. If we go anywhere, it won't be for longer than 5 to 6 months. So
yes.
And we'll be back. And now, Angel, I have a question though, Angel. Mm-hmm. What about all that great, amazing Action Comics content? Can we still access that? Can we access the old books? Can we access the old podcasts?
Yes. So right now we still have our online library. So we partnered with Global Comics. This information you can get off our website as well, indiecreatorcomics.com. We still have the old stuff on there. Still has the original Amazing Action Comics logo. Some of the content that we're going to be redoing. So we're going through part of the rebranding process was being able to go back and take a look at some of the books that we released, and the ability to be able to own your own content and redistribute it again. Just because you got together with a person, you had something that was really solid, got together with another person that was a creative mind and said, boom, we can make this other thing kind of, come out of this. And Project Shadowbreed was our flagship book that came out. You read it a couple times. We got the first 5 issues out. It was pretty cool. Long story short, I think we went back to the drawing board and said, hey, this was really cool, but we saw all the plot holes that were kind of missing. And I think one of the things as independent creators, and I think if you get anything out of today's podcast, listen to this bit, all right? Marvel is doing it now, and I think DC is doing it as well, is they have the recap pages at the very beginning of their issues. So why is this important? Because if you have somebody coming off the street who picks up an issue 5 of a current issue and has not read the other 4, they may not know what's going on. So that recap really gets them into the story as to what already happened, and then they can go ahead and continue with the story. If we look at older, like Silver Age books and stuff like that, which every now and then I'll pick one up and it drives me fucking insane. Like better yet, so not even for Silver Age. If you go back to the 80s, the 4-issue Wolverine, Claremont, dude, every single issue, it's Wolverine saying, I was infused with adamantium. This is what happened to me, and then the story takes place.
There's a rule of thumb. Every writer should write a comic as if it's somebody's first comic, whether you're in the middle of a storyline or not. And I think that yes, back then until fairly recently, probably last 25 years, I think was the big boom in the recap page.
Right.
But yeah, there was definitely we're going to do it inside the body of the book as well, with a lot of captions, thought balloons. Even thought bubbles have kind of gone away a little bit too. And again, I just to come back really quick to the Superman movie, I thought James Gunn did a great job of emulating that feel of picking up a comic in the middle of the story, just like the original Star Wars, right? And he had the text pieces at the beginning to let you know this is what happened before, and then you were off to the races, and you didn't feel lost, know. Yes. And I think it is a challenge for a writer, and there were some writers who could do it really well without heavy exposition in the body of the book. But yeah, I have come to be like, I really appreciate the recap page for the books. As somebody who sells comics, it's a great tool.
Yeah. It gives you a reminder, and it's even more important for small press or stories of characters that most people don't know. I mean, if we go out there, most people are going to know Superman, they're going to know Spider-Man, they're going to know Batman. So if they pick up a book, they can kind of put things together. But if they're picking up your book and they have no idea, no base for who the characters are, who's the antagonist or protagonist, then it kind of just it can be quite frustrating, and you can just have people come in and out. So I think if you're an independent creator who's releasing individual issues, then think about whether you're going to do it in the story where the captions are reminding people what's going on in the story, or if you're going to do a recap page at the very beginning of each book so that people know what they're jumping into. And if they want to get the back issues, great. Obviously, if you're doing a trade, then it's different. Everything's all in there and it's enclosed in that trade. So you don't really need to do the recaps for that. But individual issues I see a lot of where I'm like, I picked up issues like 2 or 3 of something on Kickstarter, and great. But then I'm forced to go back to try to get issue 1 if it's available, just so I can figure out what happened before all of this happened. So yeah, if you walk away with anything, creators out there, just make sure there's a smart way for any reader who picks up any issue, understands what the story is about and then where they are in the story, and then just give them a great story from there.
And that's the interesting thing about comics too. It is one of, if not the only, I think, current form of media and storytelling where, yes, you can pick up something in the middle of a story, and if you really like it, you have the opportunity to not only go forward, but then to go back and see what's come before, And I think that's kind of neat. It's a neat little thing about comics that I always enjoy. It creates the hunt, right? It creates that sort of that feeds that. Now, Angel,
unless they don't have it, which will fucking piss me off.
Now, Angel, if someone goes and tries to enter AmazingActionComics.com on their web browser, or if they go to the YouTube page for the Amazing Action Comics YouTube page, will it redirect them to the new thing, or did you change the names yet? Or
it used to. So now everything that used to say Amazing Action Comics is now rebranded towards Indie Creator Comics. The old web page is down. It doesn't redirect. It's just down. Okay. And then if you search for Amazing Action Comics on YouTube or use the old link, it doesn't redirect. I just found that out, which is weird. So you have to type in Indie Creator Comics.
So you created a new YouTube page?
I didn't. I just changed the original name.
You did change the name. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
good.
So but it's all rebranded and stuff like that. But it doesn't. Yeah, for some reason it'll take the old link away and it won't redirect to what the new link was off of that. So it's going to take a little bit of time to get people used to the name and stuff like that. And obviously new people will find it when they find it. But just know that it made it even easier because I think with certain social media sites, we had to change the name because the name was either too long or it was already taken. So Amazing Action Comics had different usernames for different social platforms, where Indie Creator Comics, that's where we are across all platforms.
Cool.
So if you look at it on one platform, you'll be able to find it in all the other platforms as well. But everything's been switched over. So if you listen on Spotify, if you listen on, Apple Podcasts, you don't have to do anything. The name's already changed, and it's all good to go there. And every week I'm going to be releasing more and more news of what we got going on. Things have started like steamroll now, which is pretty good and moving quickly. Like the new website should be up before the end of this month. And then we'll have our first campaign that we're going to be promoting shortly after that as well. So I'm excited. My fingers are numb from all the stuff that we've been doing, which is great. So yeah, keep a lookout for more information on the Indie Creative Comic stuff, because we're really excited. We even got new gear, bro.
Yeah, I saw that. I like
that. Yeah, new logo and everything. So yeah, I got to get you your stuff, so it's going to be all good. All right, so that's all that we have for Indie Creator. Moving on really quickly, because I know you have some stuff that you want to talk about as far as news. Last bit of news, I know we beat it with a dead horse right before we left for the summer. This whole Diamond fiasco. We're just going to do a short, really recap and say where we are right now. And where we are right now is that Diamond doesn't exist anymore. That's all you need to know. And what's funny is that this was a huge company. It was a huge deal because when they became the monopoly of the market, when they became the only source of distribution, everybody just had to use them. But when they fell off, and we had multiple distribution companies going on again, there was very little. There was interruption in the market, but nothing that really affected the user end, which means the customer. Maybe some delays, maybe some things that they ordered a year ago that they're probably never going to get, like figures and stuff like that.
Or that are slowly now trickling in with like no notice. Yeah.
Yes, which is crazy. So so there wasn't much from the consumer end as far as you guys being affected, because the transition was, I don't want to say smooth, because I know on the back end for most retailers, it was sort of like a half nightmare of now they went from getting their stuff from one source to now multiple sources. And now it's even crazier with publishing houses teaming up with one another to be able to sub-distribute other books. It's madness. It's like sub-distribution and a sub-distribution. And it's already sort of like a fine margin as far as like, what you spend and what you get. So I can't even imagine these deals of sub-distribution where those margins are getting even more narrow in this market. But long story short, Diamond Comics no longer exists. They've been sold off to a gaming company and to another publishing company. And then, do you know what happened with UK? Did that get sold off as well?
I really don't. Yeah, I'm on this side of the pond. I didn't really pay too much attention to what's going on.
I didn't either. That there was something happening with that as well. But the biggest thing that for me, because every time we got into books for the week, I like to read sort of like the synopsis of the book, and previewsworld.com, which was owned by Diamond Comics, was my source to go to, because it would release every single book and you could just get your synopsis and be like, oh, this is kind of interesting. Maybe I'll get that, or whatever it was. That's still up. And now, hold on. Do I still have it up? God damn, I don't have it up. But the last book that was available, I think, was like May of 2025. So you can't even get like the latest stuff. And then, so the only pain in the butt is going to multiple distribution sites to get sort of like the recaps of the synopsis of books. Lunar Distribution is distributing DC Comics, Image Comics. Who else did they get? A whole bunch of other ones underneath them as well. They got Titan Comics, Dynamite as well, right?
I think they did. Dynamite was one of those last holdouts, and I think Dynamite has finally gone to Lunar. Yeah.
So you got a bunch that you can get from Lunar. All of Marvel and I think IDW is under Penguin. Their site is horrendous. If you don't know what you're looking for, it's just horrendous to search for, even under the comic section. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to try to get sort of like what's coming out each week. I think Luna does a really good job with the books that are coming out for the following week, along with the FOC for retailers and for yourself. You can see what books need to be ordered that you need to tell your local comic book shop, hey, I want this book. I know the FOC is the date that they have to order it by, so they get it into the store. So you can actually see future books that are coming out as well that you can request from your local comic book shop, and they have an order form, I think, on Lunar as well. I've used the order form, dude. It is, I want to shoot myself in the head sometimes because it's everything that they have available, but you have to scroll through every single page to get to where you want to get. Have you done it?
No.
Have you seen it?
No,
All right. No. So here's the deal. So you have Image has their own digital book, which is on there as well. It's pretty cool. And then DC has their own digital book. And then Lunar has their own digital book that publishes everything that's not Image and DC, but includes Image and DC in that booklet. And then when you go to the order form, it's everything that they have available. The only issue that I have with it is that I wish that it was page for page. Mm-hmm. So if something is on the Image book at page 63, it's not on the order form, which means you have to scroll through every single page to get to the book that you want to order. Mm-hmm. So if you're out there in Lunarland and you're listening, please make it a little bit easier, because it's really cool because you can just check, what you want off of there. And then when you get to the end of the form, you can print it out and it'll have the number, the code number that the local comic book shop uses to order that book. And you could put your information at the top, your name and your account number that you may have with your local comic book shop. Print it out and then just give it to your local comic book shop and they'll order your books. Previews World honestly made, looking for books and reserving books a lot easier. And I think if Luna can tighten that up a little bit and Marvel can get their shit together with all PRH can get their stuff together with the stuff that they do, then you probably would have more people ordering on reserve, because it almost feels like now is going back to old school Wednesdays when you walk into a shop and didn't know what the hell was coming out. It's really hard to try to find what it is that you want to look for. For me, that's a little bit more nostalgia because I loved walking to the comic shop, not knowing what was coming out and seeing everything that was new on the board. But at the same time, if I look at it from a business end, most of the times when people reserve books, those are guaranteed orders or guaranteed sales that they have for books that they're ordering for whatever FSA that they have. But yeah, there was a little bit of disruption in the system, but nothing that was major from the consumer end. It's an end of an era. I mean, how long were they in business for? 25 plus years.
Yep.
So almost forever. But moving to multiple distributors keeps it from being centralized, which I think is really key, because I think it keeps the market open. It keeps it competitive in regards to trying to keep prices down. And I think that's the only other thing right now that, is a challenge for trying to get younger consumers is the price point. Is just fuck, bro. Some of these books, dude. I was looking at some of the prices. One shot $6.99. New books coming out $6.99. I'm like, I can get a loaf of bread and peanut butter for that much. So if I had to choose from eating or reading.
In some cases, you do get a higher page count. I know something that I've noticed Marvel's doing is first issues of books are $5.99, and then the book is $4.99 every subsequent issue after. So yeah, it's interesting. If you're going to pay a little more, you want more page count. There's no doubt about that. Where it does get you is with some companies, especially among the big two. One specifically, if you want a cardstock cover, you're paying $1 more. You're paying $1 more for a cardstock cover. That's harder for me than to say it's $6.99 for a double-sized issue, right?
Yeah. And I want to see how much costs have actually gone up on the back end, just because you're paying $5.99 for the book. The store itself is maybe getting 45 to 50% of that, and then the rest of it's going towards the distribution company. But they're printing volumes that allow their costs to go down on the printing end. So if they're paying 59 cents, 69 cents a book, then whatever's there is profit. So it's really interesting to see how much if costs have gone up at all significantly. I know it's pricey on the back end because we do print books, but the volume that we print is not nearly the volume that the big two print, which they get a deeper discount off of that. So yeah, I mean, it has to be because Spawn was $2.99 for the longest.
And held it as long as he could. Yeah.
Good. And then went up to $3.99. So I know prices have definitely gone up, but I think that's one of the things that hurts us with the younger market. I mean, if you're getting $20 a week as allowance, which I don't think a lot of kids are getting, probably less than that. You can buy 3 books. That's 3/4 of your allowance, almost gone.
Yep. Yeah.
Kind of thing. So yeah. I don't know. Something needs to be shaken in the industry to be able to, cater to the younger audience, and the price point doesn't help. It's definitely geared towards, a person who has 10 jobs. And stuff like that. So, all right, yep, that's all we have. So we'll no longer speak about Diamond unless they come back and start distributing, which I don't think is going to happen. All right, and you had our last bit of news. What do you got?
Yeah. So speaking of coming back, we're back, and also the indie comic publishing bad boys at Bad Idea are back and up to their old tricks. So one of the things I do like a lot about this company is the things that they do to get attention in a very a field where everyone's screaming for attention. And these guys, I think they come up with these really funny gimmicks that just make me laugh. I think a few years ago was the Invisible Comic. They invented the Invisible Comic, which was just basically clear pieces of acetate folded together with staples in them because they couldn't make the staples invisible. And of course they had that slabbed because that was a thing. And, and so their latest gimmick for their new launch, I think it's round 3 of Bad Idea, is for a book called Cul-de-sac. And they released a version of the first issue. I don't know how many of these that they did, but it has a 10-inch wooden stake just jabbed through the book. And it is, of course, CGC slabbed. And so they sort of seal the hole on both ends with this red wax, and it kind of drips down so it looks like blood. And the coolest thing about this, I thought, well, that's ridiculous. How are you gonna display this book with a piece of wood in it, right? I didn't realize it was as big as it was when I first heard about it. And then I saw it, and that stake doubles as a stand to hold the book up.
Oh, it's funny.
So it's like that. I just wanted to bring that up just because I thought that was a really cool, weird, funny, kind of innovative thing to do. And again, leave it up to Bad Idea to do something that does result in destroying a copy of the comic. Yeah. And I think I just think it's great. I applaud them for that. And that book is called Cul-de-sac. That came out. Hero Trade is the other one that came out, which they got Rob Liefeld to do a variant cover on, which I thought was really cool.
Yep.
And so I just wanted to bring that up because I thought that was a riot.
No, it's cool. Yeah, if you guys don't know Bad Idea, I mean, they came out a couple years back, and it's funny because this was a new publishing company, small, but it was people that were already in the industry that kind of got together behind this. And it's funny because it from that gimmicky start, you actually had to apply. So if you were a retailer, you had to apply
rules
to be able to get their books and abide by their rules. So every single iteration of Bad Idea, they have sort of these gimmicks that they use, and it's different. I mean, there's been gimmicks since the dawn of time with comics. You had trade cards inside, you had blind bags, you had hologram covers. What's the one with the gemstone that you hate?
Oh, the Eclipso Darkness Within.
Yes.
Oh, God.
Following those things is just horrible.
It's not just me. It's the entire all of collectordom hates that book.
Yeah, but now imagine
stuff about this.
Imagine filing the cul-de-sac with the stake in it.
With the stake. Well, again, but again, it's a slab one. You put it on your shelf.
Yes,
shipping it is the pain on that book. If you sell it and you got to ship it,
oh my God, forget it. That's gonna come in like a square box.
Now, one of the things I did love about the first 2 waves before they started getting into these gimmicks of Invisible Comics and Dracula stake stabbed comics was they would do things that would drive people into stores on Wednesdays. Yes. And that was always key for a comic shop. And people would line up before the stores would open because the first person to buy a Bad Idea book online would get a pin that they could then trade for stuff. And so I always thought that was great. That sort of they moved away from because I think they found more people were getting these pins and then selling the pins to other people, and it kind of defeated that specialness of being the first in line. Yeah. So that was the stuff that I loved, that they would do things that would drive people. You had to be at the store when it opened if you wanted to get it on the Bad Idea stuff.
Yes. And I think anything that promotes traffic to the store is great. I'm down for that gimmick all the time. But then it's sad that people abuse sort of like that, what it is that they're doing, and try to collect these things to sell them for massive amounts of money. Is just, that kills that part of the market. Screw those people. But anything that helps to drive traffic to the store, I support 100% with those types of gimmicks and stuff like that. And sometimes I think, what is it? Did Robert Kirkman do free comics at one point? I forgot what comic he did it for, where he sent the whole bunch of comics to the store that they didn't expect.
Yeah, like an overshipment.
Which was really cool. I mean, stuff like that is cool because the store has it to sell. But if people don't know about it, that doesn't drive any more normal than the normal traffic. So any kind of gimmick that a publisher can do to drive more traffic in, especially on a Wednesday, dude, I'm down for it. And Bad Idea had a really good start with that. Just too bad that people abuse it. I hope they bring some more of it back, because that'll be awesome. All right, cool. So that's all the news that we have for you. Now we're gonna move into some reviews.
What you here for, folks?
What you here for?
The reviews. Right,
so you had some books that happened over the summer that you wanted to talk about, some series.
Yeah, so I just because we missed a lot, but there was still a lot coming out. A lot of it was really, really good. I know we were both still reading some stuff, but I didn't want to. I just kind of wanted to take my top 3 indie miniseries that have come out and finished since we've been on the air. And oddly enough, all 3 of them are from one of my absolute favorite publishers, Oni Press. Oni Press started out in 1997 out in, I believe it was Portland, Oregon. They're still in Portland, Oregon. They were like the big indie comic company of late 90s, early 2000s. They were the ones that started doing Kevin Smith comics first, and that really kind of put them on the map. And they just had a great extensive output. And then they kind of were quiet for a little bit. And now they've been back in the last few years, last couple of years, they've been coming out with some really, really good stuff. I know we've talked about a bunch of them here. So, but I just want to highlight 3 miniseries that they put out this past spring and summer. One is a 3-issue miniseries, one is a 4-issue miniseries, and one is a 5-issue miniseries. So I thought that was kind of neat. So we're going to start with the 3-issue miniseries. It is called Benjamin. This is the cover to issue 3. It is written by Ben H. Winters, illustrated by Leo Max, someone who we've talked about on the show before, and colored by Luca Bertelli, lettered by Becca Carey. And it is Sarah Rockwell gets a designer credit, edited by Sierra Hahn, and the assistant editor was Izzat Sayadi. And so the really cool thing about this, again, it's a 3-issue book. It is each issue is a little bit larger. It's a little extra pages on this, no ads, and each issue is $5.99. But you are getting your money's worth. It's not a long-term commitment at $3, and you're kind of getting, you're basically getting 2 comics for that price with the, with each issue. So, it's kind of, page count, probably closer to a 6-issue miniseries. So that kind of is a good value there. So the setup for this, really brief, is you have a middle-aged gentleman who wakes up in a motel room. People are pounding on the door. He has no memory of how he got there. Turns out that he was a sci-fi writer who just remembered, through the course of, waking up, remembers having a heart attack and blacking out. And that was like 20 years ago. And here he is now 20 years later, waking up in this motel room. So there is a really cool mystery element to this. There's also a really neat sort of psychedelic sci-fi element. But the thing the trope in this that really grabs me is I like to call it the Rain Man trope, right? I don't know if you ever saw that movie Rain Man, but the trope is essentially you have somebody who's very straight-laced, kind of follows the rules, whether it's their own rules or rules that were set out for them, and just sort of tries, by society or whatever the circumstances are, and just kind of tries to live a very non-obtrusive, straight and narrow life. And then you have this outsider, this really wacky, weird person who comes in and kind of ropes that person into their world and into their crazy, and starts to open them up to other ways of thinking and acting and breaking out of their shell, essentially. And this is what this book is about. Really, really neat stuff. Ben H. Winters is actually a sci-fi author, and one of the hooks that I also appreciated in this that you find out early on is Benjamin, the man who is waking up in that motel room, he was a sci-fi author. And the person who gets pulled into his orbit, the straight-laced person who gets pulled into his orbit, that guy's father was a huge fan of this author. And he has all of this author's books. And part of their discovery is they read through all the books, and they do realize, and again, this is just a chapter 1 revelation, so I'm not ruining anything that comes past that. They find out that this author had written about the very scenario that he is currently in. So really neat stuff. Another thing, there's always a good scene that you really like, and there's a really neat scene that sort of illustrates how manic this gentleman is, but also how what he's trying to do is open up this other person to ideas. It has to do with him helping this guy, the straight-laced guy, recover his dog that he really cares about, that was taken from him in a very not so nice manner. And it involves a brick through a glass door, and it's a hilarious scene. And it does set the ball rolling to this greater mystery. So, Benjamin, Oni Press.
So, what genre would you put it under?
So, I would kind of put this, I would say a mild sci-fi mystery, but with a little slice of life. There's a little bit of fear and loathing element to it, as far as the zaniness of the guy. And the psychedelic element that Leo Max just conveys beautifully with the art. But I would say if you want like a mild sci-fi mystery, I think this would be good. But again, it is a lot about the character growth and the connection of these two guys, that builds.
So Benjamin from Oni Press.
Benjamin from Oni Press, yes.
All right, what you got next?
So next is a 4-issue miniseries called Dark Regards. All right. And this is written by Dave Hill and illustrated by Artyom Topolin, colored by Rhonda Pattison, lettered by Troy Peteri, designed by Winston Gambro, and edited by Carl Ballers. And
who's the publisher?
It's also Oni. All three of these are Oni. I don't know if I mentioned that. Yeah. So it's very rare for a comic to make me laugh out loud. And this actually did succeed. This is just a straight up zany comedy that exists sort of in the world of Norwegian death metal. So Dave Hill, apparently this is a autobiographical story as well. So Dave Hill is basically casts himself in this as this aspiring stand-up comic, right? Who is not very good, and starts to realize that, and then discovers Norwegian black death metal and says, this is who I want to be. And completely starts to reinvent himself into this Norwegian black metal god. And he creates this band by himself before he actually gets the band together, called Witch's Taint. And he cuts a demo that he sends to out to all the music publishers that are work in the genre, including this other band, and because he is a leap without looking kind of guy, and he goes all in on this stuff. Like, he sends threats that saying he is the most metal and blackest and deathiest of anybody doing this, and sort of challenges the big name band in this genre. And so these guys are in Sweden, and they basically come to America to have a showdown with this guy. It involves kidnapping or kind of kidnapping his mother, or they kidnap her in her own home. It involves basically a buildup to a big duel between Dave and Luciforge, the leader of this other, band. And it's just zaniness and wackiness throughout. There's a really great second act twist where, again, Dave is so into the death metal thing. He's doing the makeup. He's growing stalactites and stalagmites in the bathroom so that he can turn and then bring them into his room so that he can turn, his room into this cave. And his roommates are like, what's going on in the bathroom? Why are you get these out of here? So it just kind of drives everyone around him nuts, including the people that he eventually pulls into his band. And then a great little twist is somebody sends a tape of him to a late night talk show. And so he's on the verge of becoming this metal, god in his mind. But then he has a gig, a tryout for a week where he is to, get a job writing for this late night talk show, right? Nice. Being a comedy writer, what he's always wanted. And yet, that is also when the band from Sweden comes in and starts, calling him out and forcing him to vacate this in order to go back to do what he wants to be doing. Again, dark regards, Dave Hill, Artyom Topolim, from Oni Press, 4-issue miniseries, really fun, really irreverent. Like I said, for me, it was laugh out comedy at points. And nice. I really appreciated that, not a dystopian future, not a ghost story, no Draculas, just people who think they're Draculas and like to play dress up like Draculas. So yeah, dark regards. Perfect. Check it out. And lastly is another one, again, from Oni, from one of my favorite writers, especially in this genre. It is called Out of Alcatraz, and it is written by Christopher Cantwell, illustrated by Tyler Crook, who also did the lettering, designer Winston Gambro, edited by Bess Polaris, assistant editor Azat Sayadi, back again. So one of the things that Christopher Cantwell does really well, and a couple years ago he did this great 5-issue miniseries called Regarding the Matter of Oswald's Body, is he'll take a realistic event or a real life event, such as the Kennedy assassination and the whole controversy about Lee Harvey Oswald, and then we'll kind of do speculative fiction around that, kind of what could have been happening that we didn't see. So Out of Alcatraz is no different. I think everyone's familiar, or at least knows that movie Escape from Alcatraz, based on true events. 3 guys actually made an attempt. They made it out of Alcatraz Island, which at that time was, the maximum security prison in the United States, surrounded by shark-infested waters off of San Francisco, and the only thing that was ever found of these 3 guys was the broken life raft and some life preservers and some clothes. Nobody knows what happened to these guys. There's lots of speculation. I think just like with D.B. Cooper, some people have come out and said, oh, yeah, I was the guy. So basically that's the setup that Christopher Cantwell uses to take you on a very compelling, earnest, at times, knuckle biting, or if that's the knuckle biting, white knuckling narrative that, as you have these guys on the run and trying to evade the law because everybody's out looking for them. So again, this is something that Christopher Cantwell does really, really well. He does capture the essence of these time periods that he's writing in. And he'll find a good real life mystery, and he'll really go off and do his own thing on what he felt might have happened. And I really appreciate that. And I really thought this is another nice change of pace among everything else that we normally come across. So Out of Alcatraz, 5-issue miniseries from Oni. And Tyler Crook really captures that feel as well, of just sort of watching like sort of a 60s, 70s kind of grindhouse guy on the run kind of crime vibe. Really dug it.
Nice. Okay. Awesome. Love it. Yeah. All right. So yeah, my turn. I've got 2 books for you. One is from actually this week, and then the other, I believe, is from last week. And I don't know why I didn't pick it up then, but I picked it up. But all right, the first one that I have, let me just do this real quick so that we can take a look at what we got going on. Oh, I don't know why I can't do that. That's fantastic. This is here it goes. This is really great podcasting. Boom, there you go. I'm blowing up. All right, so first one, Nemesis Forever, number 1, with our boy Mark Millar, whatever you want to call him, and Matteo Scalera. So the team is back. I call Mark just like the king of minis, because he does everything in like either 4 or 5 issue spurts, which is great because they're self-contained stories, but yet they'll bring back stuff from previous series that he's done. One thing that he has going on now is the Magic Order. I think it's on volume number 5 or 6, but they're all 6 issues, but they're all one continuous story that runs all the way through. And I think he sort of has like that magic formula of just bite-sized stories that you could just jump into at any given point and you just know where you are. Nemesis Forever is no different. If you don't know who this is pretty much just the evil Batman, the wealthiest guy in the world who just wants to just go out there and just beat up or kill as many people as possible. For the most part, the stories that I've read up to now have been his localized terror. Now he's like super bored and he's even richer, which is almost impossible. Owning this technology company, now he wants to pretty much just take over the world off this aspect. So really cool. I mean, Mark Millar has just a really great sense of who his characters are and what he wants to get out of the book. Really well paced. And Matteo's art just really exemplifies the writing. It just brings everything to life off of this. The one thing, if you know Nemesis, the character itself is the same witty freaking asshole who plays in every single part. What's really unique about the start of this series, though, is that up to now, I think we've seen sort of everything from Nemesis' point of view, but now we have sort of like this infiltration of an agent that's actually going to infiltrate his organization and try to take him from the inside out, which I thought was pretty cool because we have not seen that. We've always had instances of people being found and killed right away. Never really seen, but you hear about those stories from the issues, from previous stories, and then even in this one. And then even what the FBI agent has to do in order to infiltrate the organization had to be like, fuck no, I would not do that. It's a job. I will not do anything to my body for a job. I'm not going to give it away, but if you're sort of like into anti-superhero kind of people that are evil, this is right up your alley. I loved it. He just, dude, the way it almost reminds me sometimes of him like being like the Joker, where he'll just like have some like a henchman, and the henchman just displeases him in like most minute way, and then he'll just kill him. But the art and the colors are just really cool. Like the way that he draws the faces, you can see how freaking sinister he looks when he's like talking on the phone and threatening somebody. So yeah, the emotional roller coasters are there definitely with the art. And like I said, really easy read. I believe this one is a 5-issue miniseries. So yeah, you can either wait till to collect it, but he writes in such a way that you actually know where you are. Even if you pick it up just halfway through the series and stuff like that, you won't be disappointed. I like his stuff. I think the last stuff that he was writing was what were the kids with the vampires?
Nightclub.
Yeah, Nightclub. And I'm hoping he continues that because I think there's another series that's supposed to be coming out. So yeah, check it out. Nemesis Forever. Should have popped that up, but I didn't. Fantastic. From Dark Horse. All right, next. This is it came out last week, and I saw it, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to get it because the last one that I read, The Bloodshot Reborn, I believe that was Jeff Lemire had written that, and I really liked it. It was pretty good. And then I said, you know what? Let me pick this up because it says Valiant Beyond, and there's sort of like a twist that they're doing with these new books that are being released. They want to make it more reader friendly is one of the things. I think they're trying to get more people into comics. So there's familiarity for people that have read Bloodshot, but they're also giving them a twist, a new sort of like an origin. And they're doing this with most of their characters. I think they're doing it with Shadow Man. They did it with Ninjak, or they're doing it with Ninjak, and a couple of other ones as well.
And it's a series of one-shots, right? Reintroducing these characters. I think these are all one-shots right now.
Is it the one-shots? Because I thought the one Valiant Beyond came out as the one that introduced everybody. So
yeah, I got the sense that each one of these is a one shot, and then there'll probably be something more down the line.
No, because it does say to be continued.
Oh, it does have a to be continued.
Yeah. I think the one shot already came out that introduced all the characters off of that.
Right, cool.
What I really found unique was, if you look at it, right there by that, is that it's published by Alien Books. Which happened about 3 years ago? If they pick up the publishing rights for all Valiant comics. So you have Valiant Entertainment, which is the umbrella for everything Valiant, but it does mostly their entertainment stuff, which is going to be movies, all that stuff. And then Alien Books got their publishing rights about I think in 23. So about 2 years ago for that. So you'll see the publishing through Alien Books. The other unique thing is that Alien hooked up with IDW. So they distribute through IDW, so they're sub-distribution, which is all the stuff that we were talking about before about, publishing houses getting together so they can be distributed together. So if you go to IDW, you'll be able to see the books that they distribute, and they should be on the site as well, even though they're published by Alien Books. All this fantastic stuff, which I love. All right, so yes, writer, Mauro Montella, artist is Fernando Hines, so it's a new creative team on all this stuff. Then you have colors by Brushu Studio and Rochio Zuki, and then letters by Ezekiel and Vern, published by Alien Books. Really cool. I really dig what they're doing with the new stuff. Similar to what we were speaking about before in regards to the Superman movie, where you're kind of like in the middle of the action, but you have sort of like this recap at the beginning, so you're caught up. This sort of does the same thing as well. So Bloodshot doesn't have an origin in here. He's already established, but he kind of talks to what's happened to him and what he has. So like the nanites, all that stuff. There's a really good twist in here in regards to the vampires, along with the vampires mixing their blood with blood that's been taken from Bloodshot himself and then sort of reduplicated. So they can actually have his abilities for a half an hour. The other thing that I found quite unique is that the vampires they're out during the day. So there's all these things that are kind of happening in this particular story where Bloodshot is hunting vampires, mostly the Yakuza vampires that have stolen his blood, replicated it, and are able to have his power for a limited amount of time. And he's sort of following that trail in this particular issue. So we see him do some really gruesome stuff to some guys and stuff like that, which is great. The art is really, it's simple, but it's so cool. I love the color palette on here. The action and everything on it is pretty cool. I love the new look for Bloodshot. There's that familiar look that he has, but then he has sort of like this mohawk. And then I think at the very end too, they give you sort of like let me see if they have it in here. I think it was, I thought it was here. But I thought it was like a drawing of the new Bloodshot and stuff like that. But yeah, if you love the original series, I mean, the art is like really simple, but the layouts are pretty cool and stuff like that. I definitely picked this up because it was a really enjoyable read. I'm definitely going to follow up with the subsequent issues on that. So yeah, the Jeff Lemire stuff was great because I think the last one that I read was Reborn, and there wasn't a lot of stuff before that. I think the one before that was, hold on, I think I had it here. That was that Book of Death stuff, which was okay. That was that big crossover event that they had. But enjoyed it. And it was crazy because some of these books, sometimes I sit down and I'm like with them for like 25 minutes or so, either because the story is either really difficult or I'm just, overwhelmed by the art and I just want to look at it for like forever. But this was a really simple read, art really good, quick run through. And then I went through it again, just looking at some of the art. Because some of the stuff that he was doing with the camera was really cool in it as well. But if you're a fan of the Valiant universe, I think you'll dig this. There's not too much deviation from who Bloodshot should be. So I might pick up the other character that I really enjoyed was Ninjak. So I think I'll definitely pick up the Ninjak book when it comes out, or if it's already out, pick up that as well. But yeah, all right. So there you go. You have yourself at least a couple of series that are already complete from the summer from Oni Press. And then you have a couple of books that have come out the last couple of weeks. Next week is a big week as well. I think I have 4 books myself that I'm going to be picking up for next week, including, what did I say? Blue Falcon and Dynamite.
Yep.
I remember that cartoon. It's so funny. Yeah, and Dynamite's, to the Dynamite's credit, picking up these licenses for the Hanna-Barbera stuff, the Thundercat stuff. What else do they have? Terminator. Just a couple of licenses that they're, they still have the Red Sonja, they still have the Vampirella, they still have all the sexy stuff, but creeping into the license stuff for the TV stuff. Kudos to them, and it's actually been really, really good. And they've been expanding on the Thundercat lore and stuff like that with Thundercats Lost. Shatara has her own book, and it's from what I understand, it's still going strong, which is great. So I'm looking forward to the first issue of Blue Falcon and Dynamite. And then there's a couple of other indie books that are coming out next week that I'm really looking forward to as well. There was something that you said that was coming out next week that you were looking forward to.
Oh, we were talking about the Powers 25.
The Power stuff, which it's been a while since they've been out. So they're coming back. It's going to be interesting to see how they jump back into that story. So make sure you come back here next week, because we're definitely going to have some books reviewed that are coming out for that. So with that being said, our first show back. Johnny John, how you feeling? Good?
I'm feeling good. Yeah.
Yes. All right, so
let's do this next week.
Yeah, I think so. Same bat time, same bat place. All right, if you like what you heard, please subscribe to the podcast. Better yet, invite 100 of your friends to come on, because we'll be here for every single week to at least the end of the year, because we don't know what's going to happen, end of the world kind of stuff. So we'll see what happens in the new year. If you're a creator and want to promote yourself and have a project that you have coming up, either on crowdfunding or something you're promoting right now, visit indiecreatorcomics.com. There's a podcast form that you can fill out. John and I would love to have you on the show, talk about your creative process and whatever projects you have coming up. I actually have 2 people up on deck that we need to schedule that I'm really excited to get onto the show to share what they got going on. And last but not least, please support your local comic book shops, because without them, we wouldn't be able to get our comic books, because the days of the 7-Elevens and the liquor shops having those racks is far gone. Even newsstands are far gone. You got to go to your local comic book shop to get your daily fix, your weekly fix of comics. Hey, John, where do you get your comics from?
Well, I get my comics at The Joker's Child in Fair Lawn, New Jersey. The Joker's Child, fine purveyors of comic books, comic book paraphernalia, and comic book supplies since 1988. We're so good that we even got the new volume of Batman #1 before the last 2 issues of the previous volume ever came out. It's amazing at The Joker's Child. So if you're ever in Fair Lawn, New Jersey, come on down to The Joker's Child.
Yeah, definitely stop by. You'll see John there. He's there 24/7 for sure. But if not, then definitely please visit your local comic book shop, support your local community. And until next time, we'll see you then. Be well, everyone. Ciao.